Hello and welcome to another Age of Wonders 4 episode here on the Mole Under Management channel. My name is ChaosMole and today we have to talk about health, healing and death in Age of Wonders 4. But before we do this, please don't forget, if you enjoyed this video and think it was helpful, leave a like. If you're also new to the channel and you want to see more Age of Wonders 4 content, please consider to subscribe. If you love strategy games, you also came to the right channel because that is what the Mole Under Management channel is focusing on. We are focusing on turn-based games, strategy games, management, building sims, like everything which is basically getting into the strategy category is what we are focusing on here on the channel. So if you love that, please consider to subscribe. With that said, let's go back into the Age of Wonders 4 topic, which is healing, health and death. Let's be real here. Age of Wonders 4 is a game where there's a lot of fighting happening, and that also means your units and your heroes are getting damaged, even to the point where they might die. And that is not really beneficial for you because you want to keep the downtimes low and you don't really want to hire the same units over and over again because A, that becomes really expensive, and B, they're losing all their XP. So you don't really want that to happen. But before we talk about healing and health and all that, let's talk about the end point in the life of a unit or hero, and that is death. So what happens when a unit dies? Well, when the unit dies, good news, this doesn't have to be the end of the unit because there are actually some resurrection spells in the game. Yes, they're coming pretty late. Like tier 4 and tier 5 spells, but you can see it right here in the Tome of the God Emperor. There is the Mass Revive. Targets all friendly dead units with Faithful or Zeal. They come back to life with 50% of their total hit points, and then you would just keep the units after the fight if they survive this time, right? But keep in mind, there are some resurrection spells where you will lose your units after the fight. They will die regardless. You can still use them for the fight, but then they're gone. So make sure you are reading through the resurrection spells you are getting because they are very specific. I mean, even the Mass Revive is pretty specific in who they are resurrecting. So please look out for that. The next question is, of course, okay, what happens with my heroes? So if your heroes die, it gets a little bit more complicated. First things first, let's say your main hero dies. Good news, you don't really have to do anything. They are coming back after a few turns. I think the standard time is 3 turns, and then depending if you have some spells or if you're doing something, it can take longer or it can be shorter. But standard time, 3 turns. What you have to know, while your main hero is gone, there is no research. Like, your research is deactivated while your main hero is dead. So losing your main hero, maybe not the best thing. Oh, and also diplomatic actions are also not working because they are trying to reach out to your main hero, and well, that dude is dead. So don't let that happen. Bad idea. Now, what happens if one of your non-main heroes dies? Are they gone? No, thankfully not. They're ending up in the crypt, and that can also happen with, by the way, the enemy heroes. And then you can go into your main city. You need the Wizard Tower, level 1. Right, you have to get the Wizard Tower level 1. And then you can build the crypts, which allow you to resurrect your heroes for a price. So that's basically how you can get back your units and how you can get back your heroes. But let's be honest here. You don't really want that to happen. So how do you prevent that? How do you prevent a unit from dying? Well, there is 2 ways, or basically 3 ways on how to do it. Through temporary hit points, healing, and then the turn-based healing. So let's talk about temporary hit points first. There are units and spells in the game how you can use temporary hit points. Invigorate. And in my opinion, temporary hit points are not really healing spells. In my opinion, they are shields. Why are they shields? Well, first of all, there is no overhealing in Age of Wonders 4. So if your unit has 100% health, you cannot give them 10 extra health. That doesn't work. So you have to wait till they are getting damaged so that you can use the temporary hit points. When you do that, they're getting the temporary hit points, which they will lose at the end of the combat again. And all of the temporary hit point spells are only usable in combat. There's nothing for the world map which you can utilize, which will give you temporary hit points before you are getting into the next fight or something. At least state as today. Now, why do I call them shields? That seems like temporary hit points so far. Because what the temporary hit points are doing is they are like a layer on top of a unit. Let's take this unit, right? This unit has only 59 health, so it got damaged. Let's say I'm giving him 10 temporary hit points, then they would be up to 69 health. Nice. But now, let's say they are getting attacked again. They would lose the temporary hit points first before their health, which was left, is getting damaged. So what you want to do is, the moment in a battle where temporary hit points would basically get your unit to 100% again, that's when you want to utilize them. Because they disappear after the fight anyways, you cannot overheal, and they protect the rest of your remaining health. So they are, at least in my eyes, functioning more like a shield, which you can only utilize when your unit gets damaged. So don't wait till they have only 50% of their life left before you are starting to do the whole temporary hit points healing mechanism of your units or hero spells you have. I think that is not very efficient to do. Of course, will you lose when you don't do it that way? When you not immediately use the healing when it makes sense? Hopefully not. There might be some fights where that is the case. But this is really just for after the fight. Because after the fight, you don't really want to stand around too long to get your healing back. You want to be on the move. So using your temporary hit points early and efficient after a unit is getting damaged is like the most important thing to do. Keep in mind there's also a regeneration spell, which is also temporary hit points. It's a hot. And the regeneration is kicking in after the turn of the unit. So let's say you lose 10 hit points from 100. You are down to 90 hit points. You're using Invigorate. You would get them back through 100 hit points because they're immediately getting 10 temporary hit points. Then you would end the round. The regeneration would technically kick in. But because you're already at 100 hit points, nothing happens because there is no overhealing. So you have to keep that in mind. Also, regeneration can stack up to 5 times. There's also another way to get temporary hit points, and that is through Life Leech. Life Leech exists in the game. Unfortunately, the Life Leech which does exist is only through temporary hit points. We have it here on the Life Drinker. Right? This is an item one of my heroes has, and it has Life Steal, but it only gets temporary hit points. So TLDR, temporary hit points, functioning more like a shield, and they are only usable in battle. So wait, are there not any healing spells left in Age of Wonders 4? Yes, there are. 3, to be precise. Yep, only 3 healing spells, like actual healing spells, remain in Age of Wonders 4, and they are all linked to the world map. You can only use healing spells while you're on the world map. And the first healing spell you are getting when you are using the Tier 1 Tome of Faith. There you can get the Army Heal, which will give you back 20 health, 20 hit points for every unit in that army. Then we have the Book of the Necromancy, which is a Tier 2 tome, right word. And this is Restore Undead. Now, this is specific. The unit has to be undead so that you can give them back 20 health. Living units will get nothing from this. And the last spell book where you can get actually some healing is a tier 4 tome, and that is the Tome of Paradise, and that will give you Nature's Bounty. All friendly units in the target province, so that's pretty strong, gain 15% max hit points and regenerate 15 hit points in neutral and friendly domains for the next 2 word map turns. So this is a pretty strong spell, but it is also a tier 4 nature book, and not everyone will get that. And those are the healing spells. That's how much healing is limited in this game. Okay, so how do I get health back then? Because I definitely get health back when I'm ending my turn, right? Yes. Yes, you do. Every time you hit that little button here, your units will heal. Or maybe they will not. It really depends on where you are. So let's talk about that. How much health do you get back when you are in a neutral territory? You get 5 health back. The game is not showing you that. By the way, I don't know why they are not using something like, let's say, Total War does. When you are ending your turn, you will see how much your unit will heal. Like they have like a blinking health bar down here, and then you will know how much health you will get back next turn. The game is not doing that, and you have to basically know for yourself how much health this unit will have next turn. Or what you can do is you can click on the unit, and then you can hover over the health icon, and you'll see exactly what the total health regeneration next turn is and how this is working. So you see we're in the neutral area, which is wilderness, that gives us 5 health, and we will have a total health regeneration next turn of 5. Again, this is not very helpful. You have to click basically through every single unit to know what the hell is going on and how much health they are going back, and that's not really efficient to my point and my view, and they should probably do something about it. Yeah. But nonetheless, you're getting 5 health back when you are in neutral territory. And that puts the passive you can choose for your race into perspective. I've seen a lot of people asking like, okay, wait, there is the passive Hardy, right? And Hardy gives you 10 health per turn just back. And people were like, is 10 health a lot? Yes, it is, because again, I'm in a neutral territory and I'm just getting 5 health back. So getting an additional 5 health per turn, 10 health, sorry, not 5, 10 health per turn is massive. It is really massive. So that is nothing to sneeze at. So how much health do you get back when you were in your territory? Well, glad I can answer that with this army here. And we will get back 25 health. So neutral, 5 health. Hardy gives 10. And then there is your friendly domain, which gives you also 25 health back. That's quite a bit. Now you can already see that they also have natural recovery. We will talk about that in a second. But what is important to note here, that you will not get any health back if you are in enemy territory. If you were going into territory which is not yours and you were at war with the enemy, you will not get any health back. So make sure you can recover your units, you can keep them alive through healing, or you have to go back into your territory to heal them up. Now you have probably also noticed that I'm getting some extra buff right now, which is the natural recovery. This is one of the things you can unlock. There's also, let me show you this very quickly, that there is a building you can also build to increase your healing. Not by much, but you can get the Herbalist, which gives friendly armies in the city's domain an additional 5+ hit points per turn. So this is helping. Okay, do I get some extra health when I'm in the city? No, you do not. Just being in a friendly territory is completely enough. But now let's talk about the perk I have here on my army, and let's talk about the Empire Tree, because in the Empire Tree there are a few passives you can gain to also increase the healing per turn. And the one you have seen is this, Natural Recovery. This is a level 3 talent of the Empire tree, which gives your units additional 15 hit points per turn in friendly domain. And this is actually super easy to get. So my recommendation here is get a hero which has some nature affinity, and then get this. Again, this is only tier 3. Tier 3 is not a big deal to get on the Empire tree. So it is super easy to do, and it is a massive boost you don't want to miss out on. Speaking of a massive boost, let's talk about the Materium affinity, and let's talk about Resourceful Vigor. Your units regenerate an additional 1 hit points per 2 move points they have remaining at the end of your turn. So let's say a normal unit has around 32 movement points. So that means if they wouldn't move that round, they would heal by 16 extra hit points that turn. Problem is, as you can see here, this is super deep in the Materium affinity tree. And if you're not really trying to work with Materium anyways, you will not get that. It's not as easy to get as the natural affinity talent. So this is probably only for the people who are going down this route anyways. Speaking of which, the last healing talent you can get is this one, Dark Vigor. Your armies regenerate 10 hit points per turn in hostile domain. Yes, there is actually a talent which allows you to heal in the hostile domain. Now again, this is also super deep in the Shadow Affinity tree. It's the second to last, and if people are not really going into Shadow Affinity, you will not get that easily. So the one thing I highly recommend to get anyways is the Natural Recovery, and then depending on if you will go Materium or Shadow, you can take that later on. Wait, Mo, does it mean that Order Affinity doesn't have any healing? Funny enough, no, they do not. Well, they have a healing, and that is the Rite of Enduring Duty, which will regain all hit points on non-hero units, gain also +1 rank. But that is a one-time only thing you can do, and so, you know, it's not really a healing thing which is permanently active. So no, it doesn't really count in my opinion. But that's all how you can increase your healing, and it's quite a bit. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, and then when you are getting all the things together, you can easily get to the point of 50 to 60 health per turn, even without the crazy upgrades. Right? If you are getting like Hardy, and you are also getting the Materium healing and all that, you can easily get like 100 health back per turn. But that is a very specific build, and not everyone does that. So I wanted to focus on the things everyone can get easily, right? But yeah, this is how you're managing your health, how you're making sure that you're not standing around the whole time and you are just waiting for your units to heal up. And yes, you can move to get your healing. It doesn't really matter if you're moving around or not, if you are not having the Materium perk, of course. But you can move around. As long as you are staying in friendly territory, you are getting the extra healing. With that said, we're at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe. And if you have still some questions, or I have missed something, hopefully not, then let me know down below in the comments. But please remember, be civil about it. I would appreciate that. Don't be a dick. And with that said, have a good one. Stay safe.